Hi, this is Usha. Welcome to Rathod's IAS classes. Today in this lecture, we are going to discuss one of the most important chapter of our Lakshmikant, that is High Court. So this topic is important regarding both prelims and as well as mains. So I want to give you a small suggestion before starting this High Court. So please try to read Supreme Court and High Court together. So maximum, if you are comparing with the Supreme Court and High Court, almost they have similarities, but there are some minor differences that you need to focus on this High Court. So on that differences, you can expect prelims based questions. Okay. So if you are talking about judiciary in India, we have single integrated judicial system. So if you want to draw pyramid here, so we have Supreme Court at top. Below Supreme Court, we have High Court. Below High Court, we have subordinate courts. Correct? So if you're talking about judiciary of a state, so in state judiciary, we have High Court has highest court of state, and below this we have hierarchy of subordinate courts in state. So if you're talking about some constitutional provisions regarding this High Court, from Article 214 to Article 231, which mainly comes under Part 6 of Indian Constitution, which mainly deals with provisions of High Court. Okay. So you have to remember these articles. Article 214 to Article 231, which comes under Part 6 of our Indian Constitution, mainly deals with this High Court. So before getting started and before seeing what is written in Lakshmikant, I want to give you a small information that will be important to understand these High Courts. So if you're talking about this High Courts, if you see this Article 214 of Indian Constitution, which mainly talks that there shall be High Court for each state. Okay. So Article 214 talks about there shall be High Courts for each state, and later on we came up with this 7th Constitutional Amendment Act. So through this 7th Constitutional Amendment Act, it empowered Parliament to create common High Courts. So in this way, if you see High Courts, there are mainly 3 types of High Courts. Okay, so High Courts for state, only one state, and we can see High Court for 2 or more states, and we also have High Court for state plus union territory. So you have to remember this. So with this provision, that is Article 231, it mainly talks about Parliament have power to create common High Courts. For example, we can talk about Guwahati High Court, we can talk about Madras High Court, and we can talk about Kerala High Court, etc., Bombay High Court, etc. So these are some common High Courts which are present in our country. So now I want to talk regarding one important provision of this High Court. So if you see here, we have Chief Justice of High Court. So if you see at central level in Supreme Court, we have Chief Justice of Supreme Court. So this Chief Justice of Supreme Court is called as Chief Justice of India. If you see regarding this Chief Justice of High Court, he is not called as Chief Justice of Maharashtra or Chief Justice of Telangana. So we can call it as Chief Justice of State. Okay, Chief Justice of High Court of Bombay, High Court of Andhra Pradesh, High Court of Telangana here, but we are not saying that Chief Justice of Telangana or Chief Justice of Andhra Pradesh here. Here we are adding here Chief Justice of High Court of Bombay, Chief Justice of Bombay High Court, Chief Justice of Madras High Court, Chief Justice of Delhi High Court. But if you say regarding this Chief Justice of Supreme Court, he is called as Chief Justice of India. So it is one of important indicator of spirit of federalism here. So you have to remember this word for sure. Okay. So CJI mainly stands for indicator of spirit of federalism in our country. Okay. So if you are talking about members of judges of Supreme Court here, when we want to increase number or decrease number of the Supreme Court, so it is very tougher because we need to come up with Constitutional Amendment Act. But if you are talking about judges regarding this High Court here it is mainly authorized here at any time which is deemed to necessary, then we can increase or decrease this number of judges in High Court. So regarding this Supreme Court, it is very tougher, and regarding this High Court, it is very easier. So these are some important points that you should keep in mind before starting this High Court. And now let us see what is written in our Lakshmikant. So if you see, institution of this High Court originated in India in 1862 itself. So at that time we have 3 high courts. First one is in Calcutta, second one is in Bombay, and third one is in Madras. And later, after 4 years, we got our 4th high court in Allahabad. Okay, first we have 3 high courts in year 1862, and later after 4 years, that is in 1866, we have our 4th high court mainly established at Allahabad here. So at that time of British, we have some provinces, right? So each provinces, they came up with high court. So after we got independence, after 1947, that is after 1950s, high court existing in this province, that became high court of corresponding state. So this is about some history of high courts in India. Okay, and if you see, even our Constitution of India provides high court for each state, but 7th Constitutional Amendment Act of 1956 authorized Parliament to establish common high courts for 2 or more states, okay, and also states plus union territory. So this is according to our Article 231 of our Indian Constitution. And if you see at present, as of 2019, there are about 25 high courts in country. So last 25th high court here is High Court of Telangana here. So out of this 25 high courts, 3 high courts have jurisdiction over more than 1 state. Okay, and among 9 union territories, Delhi alone has separate high court since 1966. So you have to remember this thing. And union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, that formed recently in 2019, that have a common high court. So these are some important prelims based facts. And next one is the other union territories. They mainly falls under jurisdiction of different state high courts. And if you see constitutional provisions, that is from Article 214 to Article 231, mainly comes under Part 6 of our Indian constitutions. They deal with some provisions like organization, independence, jurisdiction, powers and procedures and so on regarding these high courts. So important constitutional provisions that you need to remember here is Article 214 to Article 231. They mainly comes under Part 6 of Indian Constitution. They deals with organization, independence, jurisdiction, powers and procedures of high courts. And now let us see composition and appointment. So if you see, every high court consists of Chief Justice and also contains other judges. Okay, so these Chief Justice and other judges, they are mainly appointed by President, and President may from time to time deem necessary to appoint here. So because of this, our constitution does not specify about strength, maximum strength or minimum strength regarding this high courts here. So it is left to discretion of our President. That means whenever President want to increase number of judges, he can increase. It is very easy process than we are comparing with this Supreme Court. We need to increase judges of the Supreme Court. We need to go for constitutional amendment. So it is very much tougher when we are comparing with this high courts. So regarding this high courts, regarding strength of this high court, it mainly leaves to discretion of our President. So accordingly, President may determine strength of high court from time to time depend upon workload of high courts. So this is some important prelims fact here. And if you're saying about this appointment of judges of high court, they are appointed by President. So here it is important fact here. And Chief Justice is appointed by President after consultation with Chief Justice of India and as well as Governor of State concerned. So in this way, this appointment of this CJI and as well as appointment of other judges after this third judge case, it is mainly called as participatory, consultative process. So in this way, President, whenever he is appointing Chief Justice and also other judges here, Chief Justice will consult. Here regarding this Chief Justice of High Court, President will consult this CJI, that is Chief Justice of India, and Governor of State. And regarding this appointment of other judges, here President will consult Chief Justice of that concerned High Court. So in this way, after this third judge case, we already discussed detail in our Supreme Court, right? So we are mainly going through this participatory consultative process. In case of common high courts for 2 or more states, then governor of all these states, they will be concerned, they are consulted by President. So in this way, we are mainly following this participatory consultative process in appointment of judges to High Court. So this is important thing when you are writing appointment of this High Court judges, you have to write this word. Okay, so this is one of key word. And if you see qualifications and oath and salaries of judges here, so first let us see about qualification of these judges. So a person to be appointed as judge of High Court, he should be satisfied certain qualification. First one is he must citizen of India, and he should have held a judicial office in territory of India for 10 years. And next one is he should have been advocate of High Court for 10 years. So these are some important qualifications that need to be satisfied by a person if he want to appointed as a judge of High Court. And next one is Constitution has not prescribed any minimum age for appointment of these judges of a High Court. But if you see, Constitution also makes no provision regarding appointment of distinguished jurist as a judge of High Court. Okay, so what is this distinguished jurist? He must be well known about laws here. Okay, so distinguished jurist, which is very much different than compared to that of this advocate here. So distinguished jurist, that he should contain a large amount of knowledge regarding this law. And now let us see oath and affirmation. A person appointed as a judge of High Court, before entering upon his office, he has to make a subscription, an oath or affirmation. Oath is mainly made by person who believes God, and person who does not believe God or atheist, they will go for affirmation here. That is before governor of state. So in his oath, mainly he swears that he will bear true faith and allegiance of Constitution of India, and he will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, and also to duly and faithfully and to be best of his ability, knowledge and judgment perform his duties on office without any fear or any favor, and as well as affection or ill will, and he will uphold this Constitution and laws. So this is some of the thing which is mainly swear by judge of High Court before governor of state. And if you see salaries and allowances, so salaries and allowances, privileges, they leave, and as well as pension of these judges of High Court, they are determined time to time by Parliament. So this is again present fact, and they cannot be awarded to their disadvantage after their appointment except during financial emergency. Except during financial emergency, there will be no case of decreasing their salary. And if you see tenure, removal and transfer of these judges, here tenure of these judges, it is not fixed. Okay, tenure of these judges is not fixed in our Constitution. But if you see, there are only 4 provisions in this regard. First one is he can hold office till he attains age of 62 years. But if you are talking about Supreme Court, it is 65 years, right? And next one is any questions regarding his age, it is to be decided by our President, mainly after consultation of Chief Justice of India, and decision of this President will be final. So this is again important prelims fact and also means important fact. And he can resign his office by writing to President. Again, this is important prelims fact. And he can be removed from his office by President on recommendation of Parliament here. And he can also vacate his house when he is appointed as judge of Supreme Court or when he is transferred to another High Court. So in this way, there can be these are 4 important provisions regarding this. Okay, so first one is he can hold office till 62 years, and regarding these questions of age, that will be decided by President, mainly with consultation of CJI, and this decision of President will be final. And next one is he can resign by writing to President, and he can be removed from office by President, mainly on recommendations of Parliament, and he can vacate his seat whenever he is transferred to another High Court or whenever he is appointed as judge of Supreme Court. And now let us see about removal of judges. So judges of High Court can be removed from his office by an order of President here. So President can issue removal order, okay, only after address of Parliament has been presented him in same session for such removal. So if you are talking about this removal of this High Court judges, we need to follow one procedure. So that procedure which is not written in Constitution, but it is according to one act. Okay. So whenever this address of President which is supported by Parliament with special majority, then here judges of this High Court will be removed here. Okay, so if you see, according to this Judges Enquiry Act 1968, it mainly gives some procedure related to removal of Judge of High Court, but not our constitution. So it is Judges Enquiry Act of 1968. So according to this procedure, first one is removal motion that should be signed by 100 members in case of Lok Sabha, and it should be signed by 50 members from Rajya Sabha here. And after this signing here, this removal motion to be submitted by presiding officer. That is in case of Lok Sabha, that is speaker. In case of Rajya Sabha, that is chairman. So in this case, chairman and speaker, they have one more important discretion here. They may admit this motion to refuse this, they can admit this or they can refuse this removal action. Okay, and next one is, if this removal order is admitted by presiding officer, then speaker or chairman, they will constitute member committee, that is 3-member committee, to investigate into these charges against this High Court judges. And this committee mainly contains Chief Justice or judges of Supreme Court or Chief Justice of High Court, and also a distinguished jurist. So these are 3 members mainly present in that committee, and they will look into charges against this High Court judges. And if at all this committee finds judge to be guilty of misbehavior or suffering from an incapacity here, and this house, they can take up this consideration of this motion. So after this motion, which is passed in each house of parliament by special majority, that is more than 2/3 of present and voting. So after this special majority, then this will be presented to president for removal for this High Court judge. And finally, president passes this order of removing judge from this High Court. So this is about process of removal of this High Court judges. And now let us talk about acting judge, additional judge, and as well as retired judges. So if you're talking about acting Chief Justice, so here president have power. So president can appoint a judge of a High Court as an acting Chief Justice of High Court. So when president can appoint this acting Chief Justice, whenever office of Chief Justice of High Court is vacant, and whenever Chief Justice of High Court he is temporarily absent. And next one is Chief Justice of High Court, he is unable to perform his duties because of some health issues or anything. Here president can appoint acting judge, okay, acting Chief Justice. And if you see about this additional judges and acting judges of High Court, so again president, he can appoint duly qualified persons as additional judges of High Court for temporary period, and that period should not exist 2 years. Okay, so you have to remember that period should not be more than 2 years. So in which conditions here president, he can appoint this additional judges? So first one is when there is temporary increase in business of High Court. So whenever there is increase in pendency of cases. And next one is whenever there is arrears of works, whenever there is disruption of work that is seen in High Court. So in that condition, president can appoint temporary period. For temporary period, he can appoint additional judges. And president can also appoint acting judges of High Court. Whenever judges, they are unable to perform duties of his office, mainly due to absence or any other reason, or whenever judge of High Court is appointed as temporarily as Chief Justice of that High Court, so in that condition also president, he can appoint acting judge. Okay, and if you see about next one, that is retired judges. At any time Chief Justice of High Court of State, he can request a retired judge of High Court or any other High Court to act as a judge of High Court of that state for temporary period. So again here regarding these retired judges, here Chief Justice of High Court, not president but Chief Justice of High Court of that state, he can request any retired judges of that High Court or any other High Court to act as judge of that High Court for a temporary period. Here not President of India, but here it is Chief Justice of that High Court. Okay, so this can be done only with previous consent of President. So this is about these retired judges. So these are some important topics that I covered in this lecture, and next lecture we are going to see about jurisdiction. Okay, we are going to see different types of jurisdictions of High Court. So by this we are concluding today. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Thank you so much.